how much time do you think he's getting LSU to waste on game planning?
They're not wasting any time. Ed Orgeron knows he's coming back. He's going to game plan for the other guy.
Once upon a time, Tua was the other guy.
Once upon a time, Jalen Hurts was the other guy.
Yeah, that's true.
You'd like to have Jalen Hurts right now. It is kind of, Mike, it's weird, but Lincoln Riley is done with Jalen Hurts. If Saban has anything to be embarrassed about in his entire career, the one blemish on his career is how good Jalen Hurts has been since he left Nick Saban.
Even when Jalen Hurts was winning the national title, no one ever looked at him as a person who had the chance of playing quarterback at the next level.
Right.
And now he's being talked about as a first-round draft pick.
Crazy.
So here's the question. Is Tua actually a million times better than what he is right now, and Saban's just holding him back?
Right. Like, imagine Tua if Lincoln Riley was the coach.
Oh, my gosh.
Best ever. He might be anyway.
Despite Nick Saban.
At Lebitard Show on Twitter. I feel like we have a bunch of polls today, Billy. What do we have there?
Who was a better QB for the Patriots last night? Tom Brady or Sam Darnold? 91% of the audience said Sam Darnold.
Yep.
Who is more deserving of being a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame? Bill Self or Steph Curry? 82% of the audience said Steph Curry.
Who are the 18%?
That's a Bill Self.
Jeez.
Are you good with Michael Jordan being the gatekeeper for the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
57% of the audience said yes.
Wow, low.
Is Wardell Stephen Curry II going by Steph a good call or disrespectful to his father? 66% of the audience said it's a good call.
Okay.
Is it good to hear TJ's voice?
Of course. And who doesn't love
Always.
TJ's voice? I mean, it's
Always.
the best, right?
60% of the audience agreed with you.
Nice. All right. A little low, though.
40%.
Right. Who doesn't love
Jerks.
TJ? Right.
Is good the enemy of great? 70% of the audience said yes.
Of course.
Did the Chargers upset someone in a former life? 93% of the audience said yes. Those are the polls.
Okay. The NBA tips off tonight. Pelicans and Raptors and Lakers Clippers. How concerned are you right now? How concerned should everyone be? Because I think the one guy we were all looking forward to seeing, right, regardless if you're a fan of the team or not, was Zion Williamson.
Right.
How concerned should the Pelicans be? How concerned should Zion be? How concerned are you about his health moving forward?
So every non-Pelicans fan in the league had the Pelicans as their kind of league pass team or the team that you're going to watch on the side.
I was super psyched to watch.
Yeah.
I'm still somewhat excited,
They're
but not
still,
as excited to watch them tonight.
Of course.
Yeah.
They're still going to be fun and they'll still be good, but obviously this is a big kick in the gut for them. Given that, there's already been concerns about what his health is going to look like because of his size. Now, David Griffin came out today and said the meniscus has nothing to do with his weight, and he was in, quote, elite condition when he got hurt. I can tell you that the procedure that they did for him is a partial removal, which is why it's 6 to 8 weeks as opposed to several months. There are some downsides to that. You can develop an arthritic condition, you can develop cysts. That is the injury that Dwayne Wade blames for basically robbing him of his athleticism later in his career.
Because it becomes bone on bone, right? That's right.
But at the same time, the New Orleans Pelicans, I think everyone has to remember this, they have a new training staff led by Aaron Nelson, who came from Phoenix. He was part of the training staff mafia.
Yeah, widely regarded as the best training staff in all of basketball.
Yep, and so they're there, and they've got experience with knee injuries, and they know how to mitigate those types of concerns with corrective exercises and other types of treatments. But, here's the fun thing about it. I heard Jay Williams talk about Zion's running style. He's knock-kneed. His biomechanics aren't great. They'll fix him on that as well.
Is he Greg Oden? Well, don't answer that. Find out tonight on the Nightly.
Oh,
okay. Hey,
yeah.
do not answer. I'm going to have you on, okay? I mean, it's 15 topics, 15 minutes. You will, that's your topic.
I'll do 45 seconds on it.
Keep it to 40 seconds.
Okay.
Intro, outro, on to the next topic, okay?
Got you.
40. I need your best 40 seconds on is he Greg Oden?
Yeah.
Okay, not now.
Not now. Oh, for later.
For the Nightly.
Okay.
Yes. I'm excited to do this. I'm going to do it today.
When are we taping it?
Later on, afternoon.
Let's
you
do
and
it
I. Well, no. I don't want to do it right now. You and I, we're doing HQ today. I'll call you. I'll let you know. I'm still waiting for the offer. But you and I are doing HQ today. Now, I am not a panelist. I am not giving opinions on anything. I am filling in for I'm in the worst possible spot. I'm filling in for Poppy, and I don't want to fill in for Poppy, man. He's too popular. I
Won't
can't
be able to help yourself. You're giving takes.
I'm not giving takes. I was told not to give takes. They said no takes. I'm saving all my takes for the nightly. I'm giving takes on HQ. Who am I kidding?
This was the Dan Levatar Show on ESPN Radio.
We live in a racist country.
When it comes to keeping your small business's valuable information safe, Dell Small Business Technology Advisors can recommend tailored security solutions like servers, storage, networking. Plus, right now, get up to 45% off select business computers with Intel Core processors. Running your own small business is a big challenge, but with the right partner, it's a lot easier. To speak with an advisor today, call 877-BUY-DELL. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
Pros know there's a lot more to a tile job than tile. But here's something even pros don't know. The Home Depot's just lowered prices on tile essentials. Everything from James Hardie backer board as low as $8.98 each to 50-pound bags of VersaBond mortar starting at only $11.68. And know this, we won't be beaten on flooring prices. Guaranteed. New lower prices on tile essentials for the pro, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Prices valid in select markets only.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I'm Davis Allen with your UWF Argos update. It was wet, but the 24th ranked Argos football team still managed to take down the West Georgia Wolves by a score of 30-2, moving their record at 5 wins and 1 loss on the season. Defensively, the Argos set a new program record by forcing 6 turnovers on the Wolves offense. And offensively for the Argos, the weather conditions were not kind to quarterback Austin Reed, who completed only 2 passes out of 15 attempts. But he did have 1 touchdown pass to Kevin Grant, and he did have 55 rushing yards and scored 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jaden Gardner also had a rushing touchdown for the Argos in the victory. Next up for the Argos, they travel to Melbourne as they take on in-state rival Florida Tech in the Coastal Classic. And you can hear all the action on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM this Saturday at 11:30. I'm Davis Allen with your UWF Argos update for ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1
You're listening
FM.
to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Are you ready for some football?
Foosball.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
That's right. We are football. ESPN Pensacola 1330, FM 99.1. Get your morning kicked off with the former NFL star on Gulick and Wingo.
Wait a minute. You what?
Former NFL coach Kay Stevenson.
Well, you from Pensacola, weren't you?
Yes.
Well, Pensacola always had good players.
Followed by your favorite college football alumni show.
Roll Tide.
The mouth of the South, Paul Feinbaum, talks everything college football.
The dynasty is not over.
And the sports drive on your way home.
Chad, it's always good to talk to you.
On Friday night, Joe Ford calls the biggest high school football games. College Game Day kicks off the weekend, followed by our very own Davis Allen on the sports call.
Antonio Brown, I'm having a tough time believing in.
And you're home for UWF Argonaut football.
Keep going, let's go!
On Sunday, join us at World of Beer for the NFL Tailgate Show. The season is here, and we're not playing games. Well, actually, we are. ESPN Pensacola 1330, FM 99.1.
That's football, guys.
Pensacola Beach isn't just a sun-soaked white sand paradise. It's also the best dance floor in 50 states. Every Tuesday night, the stage near the Beach Ball comes alive with great music you know and love. Bands on the Beach are free shows every Tuesday through October, and they're brought to you by the Santa Rosa Island Authority. Later tonight,
it's Pearl Clarkin and Rhinestone. She's from the Pensacola Beach area. She went up to Nashville, put together a great female group, and they are going to play some of your favorite country songs.
Join us for live music every Tuesday night at 7 for Bands on the Beach.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
What? Why? Just wait for the inheritance. We've definitely got a rich uncle somewhere. We're one call away from the winner's circle at the Derby, dinners with multiple forks, a vacation home in the country, using summer as a verb.
You don't actually think that, do you?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs, the Florida Society of CPAs, and the Ad Council.
Every week, Harley-Davidson talks about enjoying the freedom of owning a Harley provides. Today, Harley-Davidson of Pensacola is drawing attention to the freedom that we have in our great country because of sacrifices made by the fine men and women of our armed forces. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola continues to raise awareness of veteran suicide. Anyone who attempts to do 22 push-ups at Harley-Davidson of Pensacola this Tuesday, the 22nd, will get a voucher towards 22% off licensed products in motor clothes or parts. Harley-Davidson of Pensacola, let's ride.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
And welcome into Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM. I am Chad Brillante. Glad to be with you here as always, as we have a lot to get to on today's show. Coming up, we'll talk with Alex Scarborough, ESPN Alabama analyst, as he'll break down a little more of what's going on with Tua and the upcoming games as Alabama will get set to take on Arkansas, and then the bye week, and then LSU, the anticipated game right there between the possibility of 1 and 2. And with Tua's high ankle sprain, will he be ready? Joining us now from the NFL sidelines right here to the ESPN Pensacola studios, and kind enough to make time for us each and every day, the only NFL coach from the Pensacola area, Coach K. Stevenson. Coach, it's always great to catch up with you.
Well, always good to be with you, Chad, and with our listening audience here.
Well, let's start things off with last night's game in Monday Night Football. The New England Patriots I thoroughly enjoyed it. Put a whooping on the New York Jets right there in a game where sometimes you got to put some people in their place. For everybody talking about the schedule, look, you know what? Let's stop slicing stories the way that people want to decide to slice them. Last week when the Jets come back and Sam Darnold beats the Dallas Cowboys, everything in the newspaper is, man, maybe this team's pretty good. I mean, this guy's the young quarterback and they're going to be good, and they beat Dallas. And then they get whooped by New England, and the stories today is, New England hasn't played anybody. And it's so comical to read some of these articles every day. You can't win. But
Darnold goes from all-pro to they had to back up on him.
Heisman Trophy. I mean, everything goes from the MVP of the league to the worst quarterback in the history of the game. But one thing we do know from watching that game, 33-0 win by the New England Patriots. One thing we have seen is, I'm telling you what, this defense is for real. Gilmore probably is the best guy in the league right now at his position in the secondary. Donta Hightower, man, I mean, I feel like he morphs into like 15 people on the field. He's on every single play, and it was a fun game if you were a Pats fan, if you enjoyed watching good football from one team. The game was a blowout. Most people probably went to bed, but Coach, I know you enjoyed that last night.
Oh, I did. I really enjoyed watching the Pats play. I enjoy watching as near perfection as you can watch. You can't say you like football and not enjoy watching them play. And it's not just their offense. I mean, their offense is just tremendous in what they do. And keep in mind, they're doing it with mirrors. Chad, I will assure you, their receiving core is not as good as almost any other team in the NFL. I think Alabama's got a better receiving core than New England. They made a trade this morning, big trade to get Mohamed Sanu from Atlanta, which should help. He's a number 2 receiver. He's not a number 1. If they can get him back and keep him healthy, they've got the guy they brought in, and then they've got their number 1 draft pick. If they could get those people ready for the last part of the season here, I think they could have a pretty fair receiving corps. But keep in mind, how are you going to duplicate Gronk? He's gone. They don't have any tight end anywhere near that. But they will innovate and do some things with other people to make up for those catches. And that defense you talked about, yeah, they got the best defense in the league. 90% of that, they've got some good players over there. But I'm going to tell you, 90% of that is Bill Belichick schematically planning that defense for the team they're going to play. He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Coach, when you look at the NFL right now, you've got 2 undefeated teams. The New Orleans Saints have won 5 straight with Teddy Bridgewater. But when you look right now at the past, you've had teams that you had great battles. You used to have Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady for so many years where the Saints, or not the Saints, but the Colts and the Pats would battle it out. Now you look right now, and I think people wanted to identify the Kansas City and New England Patriots as some rival for the future after one playoff game. People want to make every year things into, I heard somebody say Green Bay is the complete package when a couple of weeks ago they were losing at home to a team like Philadelphia. Who would you say right now, because it's pretty clear New England's the best team, and I'm not just saying that as a fan. It's pretty clear they're the champions, they're undefeated, they're beating people 33-0 on Monday Night Football. But who do you feel right now? Is it the Saints? Is it the Niners? Who would you say is the best chance to compete with them down the road?
Probably the Saints with Drew Brees, and if Green Bay can get, they're short on receivers too. If they could get another receiver, I think they'd be in the fight, and then of course the 49ers. So those are the obvious ones. And listen, don't sell the Vikings short either. Vikings are good football.
Looking at the college football news and notes, Dabo Swinney, a guy that now has ousted Nick Saban as the highest paid coach per season, listing at $9.3 million, and that is a lot of money. As he was actually in the game when Jimbo Fisher went to Clemson right there. The 2 coaches, their average daily salary combined with Jimbo Fisher and Dabo Swinney was more than the average household income per year in the city of Clemson right there. So it goes to show you, Coach, apparently these salaries are a little higher than when you guys were out there. You got to look at it. You know, it's the age, it's the way it is with TV endorsements and the deals today. But when you see Dabo Swinney making $9.3 million, is your first reaction good for him, or is it, wow, that is a ridiculous amount of money? He is the defending champion, and what he's if you're going to pay somebody, you might as well pay the guy that is the champion right now.
Yeah, to be very honest with you, it's somewhere in between. Really, I can't just say it's black or white one way or the other. It's an awful lot of money. I always look at situation. Is it enough, and could there be better use of dollars? Okay, but you got to look at this too, which I didn't really understand the magnitude of the impact that a guy like Saban makes at Alabama. What he is responsible for in the way of dollars coming into that university, and I'm not talking about just for the football program. Okay, obviously for the football program. But for buildings, for professors' salaries, for libraries, for research activity, for their general fund, it's millions. If Saban was not there, that money would not be coming in. Now, some people would say, oh, yeah, it would. Check it. Check what it was. Check how it exponentially increased with Saban being there every year he was there, and the success that he brought. Success breeds success, and there's identification. There's such an identification. People don't realize what an identification situation there is with a person and their university. Okay, I mean, look at the South right now with football. I mean, a college football team, if you even pick against their football team, even though it's a Danny Sheridan or whatever. I mean, Danny Sheridan gets paid for setting the odds, but if he picks against their football team, they get mad at him. And it's not like he just beat them. He picked against them in a ball game. There's such an identification and association. And back to then this has a lot to do with how successful are we as a school. I want to be a part of that, and people contribute their money. Now, if you say, well, and the dollars and cents that I've heard with the University of Alabama, largely attributable to, or greatly attributable to Saban. He makes his salary's worth it, whatever they're paying him.
I think so, and that's one thing, Coach, is, nobody talks about it, but the amount of money that these programs, like what Clemson's bringing in for a national title, it's more than what it does to enhance the football program. It is supporting schools and the amount of money in the women's volleyball program. It's supporting the men's golf team. It's promoting everything from all of these different schools. And on top of that, it's also making the conference more money, because when you get a chance to go to that college football playoff, the conference wins. And for the SEC, because they're there every year, might not mean as much. But if you're a school, let's say, if a UCF one day, or which is never going to happen, but if there was a school one day that found a way to get in, like a Boise State out of a Mountain West, that would be so huge for the Mountain West Conference to be able to get that extra paycheck to support its finances.
Yeah, well, a good example is look at Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. How much it means at Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But, of course, you got tons of people who are going to give to Notre Dame for other reasons. That can't really attribute to the football coach, to the big coach,
Yeah, some of those guys are giving money over to France these days, though, for the actual Notre Dame that burned down a little. That was a sad moment right there for history.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of money out there. If you travel, which you have, I've lived in cities all over this country, a lot of people in the South, and God bless it, good Southern hospitality. You're from here. I want to be raised. I want my kids to be raised here and live here the rest of my life. I love Pensacola. Yeah. But until you go out and experience the rest of the world and travel, you realize how big Notre Dame is. We've got Jeff Waynes as a Notre Dame fan here, but everywhere you go, there are Notre Dame fans. Any Irish bar, there's Notre Dame fans anywhere in this country, and they support them. And there's a lot of money out there invested for years. Topping off the list of some of those coaches right now, Nick Saban checking in at number 2, Jim Harbaugh checking in at number 3. Look at the list of number 3 and 4. You've got Jim Harbaugh and Jimbo Fisher. Now, I know they've won, some accolades. Harbaugh got to a Super Bowl in the NFL. Jimbo Fisher won a national title at Florida State. But number 3 and number 4 on the list, Coach, were hired on expectations, and so far, not results.
Yeah, that's so true. And that rooster's going to come home to roost at some point. There's no question about that. And you're going to have to win. And it's just like at Notre Dame. Now they're not going to get in the playoffs for a couple of reasons. One, they've lost a ball game, even though it's a tight ball game on the road against a good football team. But they don't have a conference championship to back up their credentials. So there at some point, how do you justify that they've got to get themselves positioned to win a national championship, and then they've got to win it. Now, they were in there last year, got beat handily, really manhandled. They really shouldn't have been there. But anyway, it's amazing how much credibility the whole school depends on their football program.
It is, and they'll continue there. Looking at some of the other coaches on the list, Georgia's Kirby Smart at $6.87 million. I think Kirby's done an incredible job learning, from his protege, the guy who mentored him in Nick Saban. But he comes in, Kirby, I think, is a very good recruiter. I think he's a football player. I'm not 100%. If you gave everybody a neutral team across the board, that he would outcoach some of the smartest some of the smartest coaches in the game. I think he's made some boneheaded calls as a head coach on the field. But Kirby Smart does the things in college football that will get you paid the big bucks. In the NFL, I don't think Kirby would last more than a couple months.
That's probably a pretty good bet. Even and I like Kirby.
Him too.
I mean, I like what he's done. I really have all the respect in the world for him. That's a difficult situation, but it's not one that is going to be it's going to be a very, very difficult job, extremely difficult. Now, whether he has the wherewithal to maintain that, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of like you.
And the one thing about him I will say is, anytime that a coach takes over a program that is seemed to be in I call it the purgatory of sports. They're not doing bad, but they're stuck in that we're good but not great. And that's what Mark Richt had him in for, it seemed, a decade in Georgia, over a decade. So then you bring in Kirby Smart. And immediately they go from being a good team, top 15, top 25, making those bowl games in Central Florida and near Christmas, to actually becoming a contender. And when they lose a game now, people are shocked outside of an Alabama. That's the difference. Is by doing that, though, he has raised the bar. And he didn't do it like Larry Coker did when Butch Davis won a title and he just took over. He did it because he built that. He built it through recruiting. And regardless of how he does with the X's and O's, he is the one that built that. And you know what? For that, well, Tom Herman, a lot of these guys are trying to do that with prestigious programs like Texas. George has been there, and that is credit to what Kirby Smart's been able to do in what has been a very tough conference with 5 teams right now currently in the top 10.
Yeah, regardless of what we say, you hit it on the head. The guy's done a good job at a very difficult situation. I say difficult because you have to win there. He has to win. And they're going to expect a national championship. There's no doubt about that. So, but give him credit. I mean, the guy has done a good job, and he may exceed anything that we feel like he's capable of. I give him that.
Coach, you've got a big game this week. It's sort of getting overlooked, but Bo Nix will be taking on the LSU Tigers, the Battle of the Tigers right there. Auburn goes into LSU. The Tigers in LSU are a 12-point favorite. But Bo Nix gets on the mic yesterday, and look, the questions are asked by the media, and then we take what we want, pieces of their answer back, and we put it out there on headlines. But he said, look, I played in front of almost 100,000 against Oregon on the biggest game of week 1. I think I can handle Tiger Stadium. Is that a confident answer, or is that an answer, don't poke what could be the most hostile environment in the history of college football when you talk about a night game or playing in a game in Death Valley?
Yeah, the best response is no response, or at least one that's neutral. Like, I understand that it's a great facility, and quite frankly, I look forward to playing and being a part of such a big event, and leave it at that.
Yeah, you don't have to compare it to other venues because when you're in a big game, whatever venue you're going to, they feel like that's the biggest venue. So, and especially against a rival in a division, it's better left alone. I have respect for LSU, but I feel confident in our players that we can play in any atmosphere. That's okay, but not to say, look what I did in front of 100,000, because then it's brought up, what'd you do in the swamp when you got beat 24-13?
Yeah, well, all right. A good example, a very good example, was a number of years ago. Don't know if you remember, I forget who the head coach was at Alabama. May have been Curry, but he had Homer Smith on the staff. If you remember, was the offensive coordinator, I think, and one other person. And they were from, they had coached at Army and on the West Coast at UCLA and whatever. And their first Alabama-Auburn game, they were asked a question at the press conference, have you ever been in a game with this much rivalry, this much hoopla, and the spirit of the ball game? And Homer Smith and the other guy both said, oh, yeah, we've been involved in as big a game as this. We were involved in the UCLA-USC game. Well, it almost cost them both their job. They were ready to, the Alabama alumni were ready to run them out of town because they compared UCLA and USC to Auburn and Alabama. So the best thing to do is just don't compare it to anything. You don't know, just Hey, you're great, and we're just happy to be there.
Especially when you are the underdog. If you're the favorite going in, you can have the confidence. But when you're 12-point underdog, no reason to call out because there's a reason Vegas has you as a 12-point underdog. So, yeah, exactly. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more of the college football scene. Big week ahead. Wisconsin, the epitome of overlooking a team as they lose as a 31-point favorite to Illinois, setting up what could have been one of the biggest games. They hadn't, Coach, this is how fascinating that was, and we'll talk more. We need to take a break. But Wisconsin had not trailed the entire season until that final field goal went in for Illinois. Had not trailed until that final second field goal by Illinois the entire year, and they were looking forward to already. They had 3 newspaper articles about the biggest watch party between Wisconsin and Ohio State in the history of Madison, and all that probably is now wasted paper.
Yeah, and then plus they were called the best defense in the country by a number of people.
You can't overlook in any sport. It just goes to show you play and you got to win the game, as Herm Edwards would say. We're coming back for more. It's Talk Football with Coach K. Coming up, it'll be Alex Scarborough. Will join us, ESPN analyst right there, covering the Alabama Crimson Tide for AL.com as well. And we'll check it out. Coming back right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. It's Talk Football with Coach K.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
If you're a small business owner, there's no better place to find the impact hire to help your business than LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs takes the time to learn more about who you're looking for and then recommends qualified candidates from their community of engaged and career-minded people, candidates who you likely won't be able to reach anywhere else. The truth is, over 70% of the U.S. workforce is on LinkedIn, and posting your job on LinkedIn gives you the best chance of finding and starting a conversation with your next star recruit. It's no surprise a new hire is made every 8 seconds using LinkedIn. So build your winning team by posting a job on LinkedIn and visit linkedin.com/sports to get $50 off your first job post. That's linkedin.com/sports for $50 off your first job post. linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
The Home Depot delivers on your terms. Just say when, where, and how. Get free delivery on over 1 million items. No membership required. Need it fast? Order in-stock items online and pick them up in as little as 2 hours. Or tell us when you'll be home and we'll bring your order to your front door today. This is how doers get more done. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Visit HomeDepot.com for details.
The Paul Feinbaum Show.
Everything you wanted to happen hasn't happened.
Oh, my gosh, that's all any of y'all want to talk about is Alabama.
You're really not understanding the conversation, but anyway, we can move on.
Alabama's dynasty has just begun.
Hold on a second, Charles. Somebody wants to talk to you.
I don't want to talk that compelling moron. He's nothing but a lame-headed old man.
2 till 5 every weekday afternoon. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You out of your freaking mind, cow turd.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. Talk football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante with you, having some fun alongside Coach K. And we'll be talking with Alex Scarborough coming up on the program in just a little time from now, but weighing in on some of the big stories in the NFL and more. Coach, one of the conversations that we've had is about the way that some of these athletes today, and, there's some big names. Antonio Brown is one that I'm glad we're not talking about any longer. But do you think at this point there's any chance that he will be picked up and play in 2019 for a contender?
Always a chance, but I would doubt it. I think it's going to be very difficult at this point, especially for a challenger.
Adrian Peterson, a guy that has had some issues. He's gone through some court cases with his family and other things, but at one point was the most talented running back in the NFL when he played for Minnesota. It looks like he has ankle issues and now is good to go for the Redskins. Not to say it's going to help him, but when you look at Adrian Peterson, there's sometimes there's the ups and downs, the ebb and flows of really sports in general. But when you look at Adrian Peterson, do you think first one of the greatest running backs of all time, or a guy that let some issues get in the way of what could be even bigger?
I think of a good football player. I think of an unfortunate situation that he got himself into. I think it was exaggerated based on what I've heard from other people. But quite frankly, he's not the player he used to be. He would be considered, at this point, he's kind of considered over the hill, and that's unfortunate.
Now that the NFL week is done, taking a look at some of the power rankings coming up in a few minutes, we are going to talk some Alabama football, but I want to get into a few right now. When you look at, we'll go over ESPN's top 10 list, and you tell me if it sounds about right or you would have them lower or higher. Houston Texans at 4-3. They were number 7, but after the loss, dropping to number 10 on ESPN's list of top 10 teams.
Well, it's always tough to start from the bottom, because we know who the top teams are, and then the others are. If somebody else is worthy, then they're spaced in there.
Buffalo Bills checking in at number 9 after a 5-1 start.
Yeah, you got to keep Buffalo in the top, certainly in the top 10, I think.
Looking at number 8 on the list, the Minnesota Vikings, who are playing about as good as anybody over the last few weeks, right there at number 8.
Probably higher than that.
I agree. Number 7, Seattle Seahawks just got beat up by Baltimore at home, 30-16, but they're sitting at 5-2, where there are a few field goals if they go in from being 2-5.
Well, see, I would take Minnesota over.
I would as well.
Over them.
Number 6, the Baltimore Ravens, moving up after a tough loss to Cleveland. They've jumped and won 3 straight now and sitting at 5-2.
No, because I think they're a very, very unorthodox football team, not really built for the long run in the NFL. Okay? Now, I say I give them credit for what they've done so far. Give them credit for innovation, because that's what they've done. They've taken a great running back and built an offense around him being a quarterback. That won't last throughout the year. So, no, I could not put them there.
Kansas City sitting at number 5 at 5-2.
Probably okay there. We'll see.
It depends who's playing quarterback and how healthy they are. You know, number 4 on the list, 6-1 Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, Green Bay's got to be up there, and again, Rodgers, give him a lot of credit.
Number 3 on the list, the 6-0 San Francisco 49ers, who played in a monsoon game. You played in the cold, by the way. What is worse, when a torrential downpour or playing in a flurry of snow? I mean, both are not ideal, but what we saw last week, did you see any of the conditions in the 9-0 win for San Francisco?
Yeah.
It was. I mean, is it you just got to play the game, or
you just play the game? I think I'd rather play in the rainy conditions than the snow. I'd rather play in either rather than a windy.
Yeah, the wind is what can affect the game.
Really affects the game.
San Francisco checking at number 3, no problem there?
No problem.
Number 2, the New Orleans Saints, still at number 2 after a nice win on the road in Chicago, now 6-1.
Yeah, I like them.
And then number 1, no shocker, the Miami Dolphins. No, I'm just playing. New England Patriots checking in at 7-0 after another Super Bowl title in their expectations.
Yeah, I think those are lined up. Those are lined up pretty well. I would certainly agree with that.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk some Alabama football. Coach, I know Alex Scarborough has done a great job with ESPN and covering the Crimson Tide, and we'll be looking forward to talking to him as the Tua injury, obviously a big concern for many people in the area.
Yeah, Alex does quite a bit with Paul Feinbaum. He's on the Feinbaum show quite a bit, and so now we're going to have the pleasure of having him on and get some inside info ourselves.
Well, we'll look forward to that. Coming back, we'll talk with Alex Scarborough right here, ESPN, covering the Alabama Crimson Tide, SEC football, and more when we return on Talk Football with Coach K.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Calling all Florida State Seminole fans, Tomahawk Talk is here. Tune in each Wednesday afternoon from 1 till 2 right here on ESPN Pensacola 99.1 AM 1330 to get the latest on Florida State football. Hear from the experts, the superfans, and even some former players about what's happening on the field from the sidelines to the locker room. It's Tomahawk Talk this Wednesday starting at 1 o'clock on ESPN Pensacola 99.1 AM 1330.
Presented in part by Gross & Schuster, attorney at law.
A change in season means it's time to check your tires, and Goodyear Auto Service has just what you need to make this fall great. Think weekend getaways, scenic drives, and great deals, like up to $225 in savings this month. That's $75 in instant savings when you purchase and install a set of 4 new Goodyear or Dunlop tires, plus up to $150 back on select tires by online or mail-in rebate when you use your Goodyear credit card. But hurry, this offer ends October 31st. Terms and conditions apply. Visit GoodyearAutoservice.com to learn more.
I'm officially a Vivid Seats Hall of Famer.
A what?
Vivid Seats launched a new app with Vivid Seats Rewards, and I earn credit on every purchase I make through the new Vivid Seats app. The more live events you attend, the more you earn.
Was it hard to join?
Nope. All I had to do was download the Vivid Seats app and use it to buy my tickets. The more you spend through the app, the more credits you earn.
Don't just get any seat, get a Vivid Seat.
Vivid Seats.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I am Chad Brillante. Glad to be with you here as always as we broadcast live, having some fun talking everything college football, NFL, and more. And joining us now to break down a team that's always so easy to cover, right, when it comes to the Alabama Crimson Tide and so many stories throughout the last months. Alex Scarborough of ESPN.com covering Alabama and the SEC joins us here. Alex, we appreciate your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, we do appreciate your time. We know you're busy as can be, especially with all the things going on there in Tuscaloosa right now. Alex, let's get right to the bottom line and talk about the situation with Tua, what's expected at this point. And I know it's somewhat dicey to talk about expectations, but let's do our best because that's what people want to hear.
Yeah, it's funny because this is the same surgery, same relative injury that he had a season ago during the SEC championship game, and he had the procedure done coming out of that, was out for 4 weeks. So I know quite a bit about it, having talked to one of the folks who was in on the surgery and one of the team trainers. And it's a really unique deal that they're able to do this at all, but the timeline right now for a typical patient, he's going to be off his feet for a couple more days. Then he's going to do some stuff on, non-weight bearing, kind of on the anti-gravity treadmill kind of thing that you see every now and then. And then after about 10 days is when typically you can start to ramp things up and really put some more pressure on it. Now, the typical time frame is 3 to 5 weeks. The LSU game is obviously, from the moment he had surgery, about 3 weeks away. So the good news for Alabama, obviously, is Arkansas is unranked for a reason. They should be able to take care of them without Tua, and then the bye week before the LSU game. I don't know how close to 100% Tua will be by that time, but there's definitely an expectation that he'll be in good enough shape to be able to take the field and lead Alabama.
Right. I would certainly think that's a real possibility, but also I think it's important to emphasize, and I'm sure this would be the case with most, but I think certainly with Saban, that if there's any real doubt about his overall health and how it would maybe affect him later on, Saban would make the decision to go without him. And
no, I agree 100%. It's not, especially in the situation that Tua is in, being a projected possible number 1 overall pick. You don't want to put his entire career in jeopardy. The one thing I will say to that, and it's a fair thing to say, and it will be something that's taken into consideration, my understanding of the procedure that was done on his ankle is that it stabilizes and strengthens the ankle. It's basically a wire rope going between the ankle bone and the leg bone and really sort of cinching them together, that when you do that, it's very difficult to re-aggravate it in the same kind of way. Now, granted, everything's connected. There could be another injury if he's not 100%, but I think there's a lot of belief and a lot of confidence that once you have this procedure, even if you aren't 100%, if you're 90 or 80, whatever you might have, that there's a little bit more confidence to be able to go back on the field and push it, where in the past with a more traditional surgery that might not be the case.
Very, very interesting, for sure. Did you understand too that this particular type called a high sprain or high ankle injury? We always found that this included more than just strained ligaments and tendons. It also included maybe a rupture of the muscle sheath, which had to be either healed back or repaired in some way. Where does that stand?
It's hard to say what all Tua had affected in terms of that, because you're right, the high ankle sprain is a very all-encompassing phrase. People hear sprain and they just think, okay, there doesn't need to be a surgery associated with that. But when you're at the level that Tua is at, and you're trying to get back and play for your team and all the long-term ramifications, that is a normal thing. And quite frankly, this, and you know this, the high ankle sprain, the timeline on that would be, 8 to 10 weeks? Not that long ago that was the case, and now it's in half with what they've been able to do medically, and it really is a phenomenon. It's funny, covering Alabama for the last calendar year, I've had to learn about this tightrope surgery, and I've had to learn about the robotic-assisted hip replacement that Nick Saban had, where he was up and out of his chair and walking around his house in 24 hours. So it's incredible what they've been able to do with advancements in medicine and quite frankly, how it's benefited the Alabama football program.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we all want to see him back as soon as possible, and I think certainly for the LSU game, for all intents and purposes, that could be the national championship game. Could be considered the national championship game. It should be quite an event. Let me ask you this, Alex. What do you think the feeling is with that football team and with the coaches? And I know it's difficult to maybe compare this to anyone else. Not asking that, but how do you think they feel about more the backup quarterback at this point?
Well, I think they've got to be happy to have him around at all in this space. I mean, how many former 4-star quarterbacks who have seen two people start ahead of them with Jalen Hurts and Tua? How many guys in that situation stay around at programs like Alabama? I was talking to Lane Kiffin the other day, and he said the attitude today is, I'm going to take my ball and go home if I don't win the job. And the fact that Mac has stuck around and gone through the process, I think gives them a lot of confidence in terms of understanding the offense, what they want to accomplish. There's not going to be a huge section of the playbook that just suddenly goes away because he doesn't know about it. Because if Mac wasn't there, you'd be looking at two true freshmen to choose from. So they're in a better place in terms of understanding there. I think the one thing they want to see for Mac is, look, you don't need to be Tua. You don't need to, force every throw. You've got 3 potential first-round picks at receiver. Use those guys, hit the guy who's open, drop the ball off when he's not, and just live to play another down because you have enough talent around you to do that. And there have been points in his career, while he hasn't played very much, that Mac has done a good job at doing that. And there have been points where he's been inconsistent in terms of doing that. And I think that's the one thing the coaching staff needs to find out is, can he be a game manager? And I don't use that in a negative sense, but can he be the guy who distributes the football and makes plays and isn't the reason that Alabama loses a football game? If he can do that, they'll do more than tread water. If they can't, well, we'll find that out on Saturday against Arkansas.
For sure. Well, knowing how they will prepare a football team, and nobody does it better. There's no question about that. But they'll certainly do what they know that he does best and what he feels most prepared to do, and they'll highlight that. And they'll, I'm sure, do a heck of a job of convincing that football team that there's no way that they could do any better. So I'm sure that's going to happen. How about defensively with those 2 young inside backers that they've had to go with? Do you feel like that's as weak a point as some people do, or do you feel like they're coming along there? What do you think, Alex?
I'd say yes to both things. I do think it is their potential Achilles heel because it's not just those 2 starting at leadership positions at inside linebacker that are true freshmen. The true freshmen started on defense as well. I mean, 4 is a big number on a defense for a team that's the number 1 ranked in the country. And while I do feel that there's a lot of talent there, I mean, Christian Harris and Shane Lee have really shown, I think, improvement. But here's the thing. They've done it against who? They've done it against South Carolina, against Tennessee. They've done it against, quite frankly, middle-of-the-road type offenses in college football, and they haven't done it against the best. They haven't done it against LSU. So I think until you see an offense that can really stress what they do, can really stress all points of the field, make them look the wrong direction, and really show their youth, I don't think we know how big of a problem they are yet. And in the back of my mind, I've seen enough issues with them. The Ole Miss game, they let up containment a few too many times. And I'm not just focusing on these two players individually, but the defense as a whole. There were points where they struggled and they gave up over 100 yards rushing to a backup quarterback. So I think sooner or later it catches up with them. They just have to hope that it's not a game like LSU, or it's not if they get into an SEC championship or game or a playoff scenario. They've got time to develop. I just don't know how much they can accelerate that learning curve.
Right. I would expect at this time, too, what I get the feeling just watching Saban is, and would expect nothing less, that he certainly is showing that strong leadership type personality, and will be doing so right on through this situation, getting Tua back. But I would hope that feeling is pervasive among everybody there around that football team.
Yeah, and I get the sense that it definitely is. And the good news for Alabama is that they do have some veterans on that defense. Xavier McKinney, Anthony Jennings, those are two of the most vocal guys on the team that I think they've really taken the responsibility of leading those young guys and leading them in a way that isn't just, grabbing you by the neck when you do something wrong and rubbing your nose in it. It's also the, building them up and understanding that, yes, they're going to make mistakes, but you need them to be confident on the football field so they can just read and react and use their God-given ability. I think the return of Pete Golding as the defensive coordinator from last season was a big deal. And as you stated, the leadership of Nick and the way he talks about those guys, trying to lift them up and be positive about them at all times, I think is the right way of going about it. Because if you just look at it, black and white and say, you've got an 18-year-old starting at Mike linebacker, the number one team in the country, and in 3 weeks they're going to host the number 2 team that's leading the country in scoring, that's scary. You got to find a way to make that manageable and a way that they can wrap their head around it. And I think they've done as good a job as they possibly can to do that.
Agreed. Here quickly, and I appreciate your time, but just out of interest, our listeners, the open date coming up before a game like is going to be the case with LSU. Of course, it's going to be in Tuscaloosa, which gives them an advantage there. But what do you has he given any idea what the schedule will be during the off week, the bye week?
That's a good question. They handle it differently some weeks than others. I imagine it sort of depends on how the Arkansas game goes and whether there'll be, if they come out of that relatively injury-free, and maybe they give the guys an extra day to recover. The good news is I think during a week like that, you can more focus on the mental side of things and just start preparing from that. And then you have your traditional game week the following week where you can do sort of the normal things that you're accustomed to. And quite frankly, I know that Nick said originally it was a 1 week timeline for Tua's injury. I really have a hard time seeing him being able to practice during that bye week in any kind of meaningful way. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a different kind of week than what they're accustomed to regardless of how the Arkansas game goes. So the good news is Alabama and LSU both have the same bye week that week. I wouldn't be surprised if they've already peeked a little bit ahead to this game. This is one that feels like a playoff game that again, not just deciding who comes out of the West, but potentially who's going to be one of the last 4 teams to make that playoff. They're two very good programs, and they're very anxious to meet one another on November 9th.
Yeah, that's as I said, I think by proxy, this really could be considered the national championship game, 1 and 2. Listen, I really appreciate your time, Alex, and I would agree with you on that off week. I think it's going to be, the reason I ask is I think it will be a little different with Tua, and I would agree with you that it's going to be difficult for him to make all the practice schedule that would normally be available to a team during the off week. But anyway, we'll see what happens there, and I do appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, there it is right there. Alex Scarborough of ESPN.com, kind enough to make time for us to talk some Alabama football. Busy weeks ahead as they'll take on Arkansas, and then the matchup coming up there after the bye week against LSU. An anticipated 1 versus 2 matchup. LSU still has Auburn before that, but still, if it can get Tua back, Joe Burrow, you could have 1 versus 2 and 1 and 2 in the Heisman front running right there. So it should be exciting as this game is living up to what it was at one point and even bigger. Coach, I think honestly, and we'll get to more of this in the next segment, but I want to. This could be the biggest LSU-Alabama matchup if everything is okay. Yeah. Even bigger than the ones where they both played once and then again in the national title. This could be the biggest of all time.
Oh, it could be, and you missed out. Well, there's one other first. Which one might be the first pick in the NFL draft?
It's the first time LSU actually wants to throw the football first, too. I mean, there's a lot of things. They got a good quarterback for the first time. Les Miles isn't ruining clock management for the first time. It should be really fun to watch this one when we hopefully get Tua back. You want to see the best of the best. I know LSU fans would love to see Mac Jones. If you ask them, they would like to see Mac Jones. But I think as a true fan of football, you want the Titans clashing. You know, I hope we get to see that matchup because that's what we deserve.
I do too. Yeah.
When we come back, we'll get to more of the big games coming up here in the NFL. We'll break down some more of the power rankings after the New England Patriots and the San Francisco 49ers remain unbeaten. Teddy Bridgewater, 5-0 as a starter. And should Drew Brees come back? We'll ask Coach when we return right here. It's Talk Football with Coach K.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Dude, it's game day, and I'm fired up that football is back.
I know, but I'm bummed they don't show my favorite team on TV around here.
All right, well, what about that place Calvert's? They're a really cool English pub-style restaurant, and they have a really good drink menu.
Yeah, but what about the game?
Don't worry, they have the NFL Sunday ticket and plenty of TVs, so we can watch any game that we want.
Ooh, I just looked at the menu, and that Abbey Road burger is calling my name.
Calvert's in the Heights Restaurant and Bar, 3102 East Urbana Street, calvertsintheheights.com.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
The new Michelin silicone plates last through everything.
On a world record-breaking drive from Alaska to South America in unpredictable conditions.
Thunderstorms, ice storms, they just don't quit.
Rainier Zeitlo chose Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades with advanced Quad-Tech 4-layer coated silicone that repels water, snow, and ice and lasts 2 times longer than other blades.
It's coming down in sheets.
Real world proven. Extreme weather wiping performance. Upgrade to Michelin Endurance XT silicone wiper blades today. Only at Walmart. How good are PXG clubs? Golf writers describe them as absolutely remarkable and the best golf clubs out there. Our customers call them insanely good and say they live up to the hype. So what are you waiting for? Step up your game and enjoy golf more than ever. Call 844-PLAY-PXG, 844-PLAY-PXG, or visit pxg.com to book your custom fitting. PXG. Nobody makes golf clubs the way we do. Period.
Talk football every day with Pensacola's own Coach K.
The key on offense is going to be whether Franks can come back and duplicate what he did in the last 4 games.
Every weekday, noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1 is all about high school football. Catch the biggest local games every Friday night on Pensacola's home for local sports and our sister station, News Radio 92.3 AM 1620.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. NFL right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. It's Talk Football with Coach K. Chad Brillante with you alongside Coach K. Stevenson. And, Coach, a busy week of football. We do have a call coming in. So talk a little bit more about what you saw this weekend and what was one of the biggest surprises you saw around the NFL.
Yeah, I think, of course, one of the biggest movements I think we've seen in the NFL at this point has been Minnesota coming back to claim their rightful place, and also the Saints. My gosh, they just continue to. Well, I think Peyton is doing a good job, an outstanding job over there, and this is without Breeze with Teddy Bridgewater. Now, there's a lot of talk about when Breeze might be back, and I will say this: I think he wants to get back very badly. Okay, they're not going to take any chance. Certainly not right now with the record they have, with the win streak they have. I think they're 5 straight wins. Not that anybody's Bridgewater or anybody else is close to replacing Breeze, but what they have coming up, they've got a game at Arizona, and then a bye week, and then they're into the stretch run on their schedule and into the playoffs, and which I feel certain they'll be. If it were me, I would do everything I could to prevail on Breeze. I know Breeze wants to be back, and he feels like he needs this next week. What I've heard is Breeze feels like he needs this next week just to knock the rust off, to be ready before coming back after the off the bye week and into the meat of the rest of the schedule.
I don't understand why you would rush him back. I mean, to me,
I don't either.
It's a team that if it was a game against Carolina, who was hot with Allen, in a big game, a pivotal conference matchup or divisional matchup, I could see. But they should be able to. Run a wildcat with Latavius Murray and beat this Arizona team. They're good enough on defense.
I don't know about that. And every game is important.
I was probably over exaggerating that part, but yeah.
But I will say this: I would be extremely cautious. I would do everything I could to try to work it out so that Breeze felt comfortable by not participating this week. That gives him 2 more weeks to be ready to go. And I understand now he's still got a little retainer, if you want to call it that, on his thumb. So, I just wish he would take these 2 weeks and be 100% when he comes back.
Coach, we only have a few minutes, but I did want to ask you the question. Kyler Murray gets the win. Murray gets the win last week. I think he's growing. He's working for a guy that was a quarterback in Cliff Kingsbury, a guy that knows it. What have you seen? Is he a guy that can be sustainable long-term in the NFL? Or what are your initial thoughts on his sort of been up and down type of start to his season?
Good question. I don't think I could answer that question, and I don't know of anybody else in the National Football League that could answer that question right now. It's too early to tell. He still has a tremendous amount to overcome, and he's got to play for a long time and against some pretty good people yet to make that determination.
Coach, when you look at Dan Mullen, we're going to be talking Go Gators coming up here in a few minutes. I'll be hosting that show in about 5 minutes from now. But what he's done is, there were very few. There were a couple phone calls away from having Chip Kelly as their head coach. I think they made the right decision there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And Mullen, I give him credit. He's done a good job, and he's done a good job with Trask. I just hope. I think they're a much better football team with Trask, and I hope this continues.
Coach, enjoyed it. Looking forward to doing it again tomorrow.
You bet.
All right, for NFL coach Kay Stevenson, I'm Chad Brillante. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy some Go Gators coming up here, followed by the Paul Feinbaum Show, and then we're at the fair for the Sports Drive. Coming back for more on Talk Football.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. I'm Davis Allen with your sports headlines. The Fall Classic gets underway tonight as the Washington Nationals visit the Houston Astros for Game 1 of the World Series. Max Scherzer will be getting the start for Washington, which is making their first World Series appearance in franchise history. Garrett Cole will be taking the mound for Houston, which is seeking its second World Series title in 3 seasons. In Monday Night Football, the New England Patriots dominated the New York Jets 33-0 on Monday Night Football at the Meadowlands. Sony Michel rushed for 3 touchdowns as New England ran its record to 7-0 on the year. Second-year quarterback Sam Darnold was just 11 for 32 for 86 passing yards, throwing 4 interceptions and a lost fumble. This moves the Jets' record to 1-5 on the season. In the NBA, the regular season tips off tonight. The defending champion Toronto Raptors will raise their banner in a ceremony before they host the New Orleans Pelicans in Toronto. In the nightcapper, the LA Clippers will be clashing with their rival Los Angeles Lakers at the Staples Center. The Clippers' Kawhi Leonard and Lakers' Anthony Davis will be debuting for their new teams, respectively. Going back to Toronto, the New Orleans Pelicans will be without rookie forward Zion Williamson for an extended period of time. The top overall pick in this year's NBA draft will miss at least 6 weeks after undergoing surgery to repair a torn meniscus. Williamson was hurt during the preseason. And the Boston Celtics are locking up forward Jaylen Brown long-term. The two sides have agreed to a reported 4-year, $115 million extension. The 22-year-old Brown averaged 13 points and 4.2 yards for Boston last season. He is expected to take on a bigger role this year with the departures of Kyrie Irving, Marcus Morris, and Terry Rozier. And as for the UWF Argos, they move up 4 spots in the AFCA Division II football poll, going from number 24 to now ranked number 20. I'm Davis Allen with your sports headlines for ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Stephen A. Smith here. If you're like me, you have a mortgage and a family who depends on your income, then you need to protect the ones you love with life insurance. Life insurance can help pay off a mortgage or send the kids to college. It's peace of mind. Think you can afford it? Chances are Select Quote can help you get it for less than $1 a day. Select Quote comparison shops up to 10 highly rated companies, including Prudential, Banner Life, and Mutual of Omaha, and others, to find you the company with the best rates. For example, Select Quote could find a 35-year-old man a $500,000 policy for under $21 a month. That's less than $1 a day. Select Quote's breakthrough technology allows them to quickly match you with the best insurance company to find your best policy. Plus, quotes are free. Start protecting your family today. Call Select Quote at 1-800-601-6992. That's 1-800-601-6992. Or go to selectquote.com/Smith.
Get full details in the example policy at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
This is a message for all parents. If you as an adult think it's tough being separated or divorced, have you truly stopped to consider how your being separated or divorced affects your children? How parents treat one another, either during or after divorce, can have lifelong effects on your children. Whether you are separated from your spouse or even actually divorced, in either situation, keep in mind that you and your spouse are parents forever. Hello, my name is Stephen T. Holman, and I am a family law attorney. If you have questions regarding custody, visitation, or child support, call me today for a free consultation at 435-6909. That's 435-6909.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
And welcome into the Go Gators show right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante with you here alongside former Florida Gator quarterback and NFL QB and coach for the Buffalo Bills. And throughout his career, spending a lot of time around the National Football League, Coach K. Stevenson. Just getting done with Talk Football with Coach K. And now it's time to talk some Florida Gator football. It's brought to you by the Holman Law Firm. The best parents, both parents. If you're going through a tough divorce or anything tough with your family, from custody to try to figure out what the best plan is going forward. It's never an easy thing to deal with, but Stephen T. Holman, Justin Holman, the Holman Law Firm, there for you. Well, Coach, it's good to come off a victory against South Carolina if you're a Gator fan. They go out there, they get the win, they go out and play. Kyle Trask continues to get better week in and week out, and I was singing it from the top of the mountain when only a few people wanted to listen to. You know, you keep on giving, somebody a little bit of food here and there. You keep giving the rat a little bit of that, and all of a sudden it grows into what looks like a bunny or a rabbit, and then it grows into what looks like a dog. And for Felipe Franks, he wins those games against Florida State last year when they had pretty much just given up on the face of the earth in football. Then he goes out and beats Michigan. And Michigan had sent half their players to the NFL on defense. Jim Harbaugh didn't want to be there. He was bitterly disappointed against an Ohio State loss. Felipe Franks started to look good. So he gets the starting job. He goes out there in what was just a horrible performance against Miami. They win. He punts the ball into stands. And people are believing, hey, he's won 3 straight against names like Florida State and Michigan and Miami. Those are powerhouse names. And I'm sitting there going, are you watching the guy play? He's missing 5-yard out routes. He can't make decisions for himself. I didn't wish him any ill will, but I felt the Gators deserved more. And I felt like there was guys on the bench that could give them more. Well, lo and behold, an injury gives Kyle Trask the opportunity on national TV against Kentucky. They win that game, and ever since, he has been the staple. He finds a way to win, and Florida hasn't had offensive firepower at the quarterback position like this since watching Tim Tebow's and watching the guys for Urban Meyer. And I'm not saying Kyle Trask is any of those, but they've gone through a long list of some really bad QBs, and now they finally have a guy they can trust. And for that, the Gators should be very exciting going forward.
Yeah, I like what Kyle Trask is doing. I think he has settled down that quarterback position. He's settled their offense down. Now, he's still going to make some mistakes as he goes along. He's not to the point that he's going to play a perfect game for you, but he's playing extremely well, playing better, as you stated, certainly getting better quarterback play than they have gotten, I think. So I think it's a real plus. And I give Dan Mullen credit for doing a good job coaching up Kyle and getting him ready to play. And the more reps that he gets, Chad, in practice and in games, the better he's going to play.
Well, and too, Coach, when you look at it right now, it's you got to strike while the opportunity is there. And everybody wants to look at their team, and I understand it. But for our job, is you got to look at the whole picture around you. And if you're the Florida Gators right now, you will never have a better time than right now in recruiting in your own state. Florida State is down. Miami is down. UCF, we're not fake national champions or even can claim it anymore after losing 2 straight. Right now, USF is not as good as they used to be with Charlie Strong. There really is a couple years ago, you even had FAU with Lane Kiffin and Butch Davis at FIU going to good bowl games and stealing some guys. Everybody around them was taking guys from them. Now, this is the best the state has ever looked for Florida. They're doing well when everybody else around them is doing bad. And then Georgia loses some guys. And even though they're still right there in the mix, people are a little bit down on Georgia this week, going into the world's largest outdoor cocktail party in 2 weeks. For the Florida Gators, this is their best chance to start to embrace what they have going forward, because this year it's a good team. I don't think they're national championship caliber now, but in a couple years down the road, they're building a program that can be there, and Florida hasn't been able to say that in about 13 years.
Yeah, I would agree with you totally. They are building a very good young football team right now. I think they're doing an outstanding job, and I do agree that the opportunity for recruiting is excellent right now. But you still have to go do it, because there are a lot of teams into the state of Florida now, other than just the state schools. I mean, it's a big recruiting area for Georgia, for Alabama, for South Carolina, for Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon. There, anybody.
It's a reason Harbaugh's down in Bradenton, Florida, taking people of the IMG Academy to Outback Steakhouse. So it's looking at the victory. Let's get to the win. Florida moves up to number 7. They're one of 5 teams in the top 10 in the SEC. But they go out there. They're able to take care of South Carolina in the second half. It was tied 10-10 at half, and then they really picked it up. They scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. After trailing at 1 point, South Carolina had a 20-17 lead going into the fourth quarter. Florida is able to reel off 3 straight touchdowns and take a 38-20 lead. And one guy that stepped up, Coach, is a guy that a lot of people are familiar with his career here. Jacob Copeland was the SEC Offensive Freshman of the Week, and a guy that had 89 yards and a touchdown. Freshman right here from Pensacola, stepping up and making big plays.
Oh yeah, he had 3 big catches, and he looks great. And I'm happy for him, and people here are happy for him. But this was a big win for Florida. Don't underrate the magnitude of this win. It was significant. You can imagine how Muschamp was planning on this game, planning on winning it.
He let you know in the press conference how he felt.
Yeah. But it was a big win, and Florida had to go into South Carolina. Very difficult situation to be in. South Carolina's a good football team. Had just beaten Georgia. It was tough week, but they did it, and just an outstanding opportunity. Now I think this off week, this bye week, comes at a good time. I really do, Chad. I think they can do a heck of a job getting some things that they need from a fundamental standpoint, and engaging those younger people. Again, they increase the ability of their depth to play at a higher level, and they can also increase maybe the things that they do, that they feel that they can do in the way of either specials or certainly situation play.
Coach, you got the game against Georgia right there. It's a game that's been talked about a lot. It's more than just a game. It's a venue. It's a party. It's right around Halloween. People dress up. The weather is usually pretty nice, about 50 degrees right there at the Landing. You get a chance to go out and watch 2 great football teams. They battle it out right there in Jacksonville, and it's sort of been a staple of good tradition when it comes to the whole party scene, the atmosphere. People like college football, the tailgating, the passion, the camaraderie. Football, you're usually nowadays, people are setting their fantasy football roster, they're making sports bets, and they're watching the NFL because it's their favorite teams and favorite players. College, a lot of people don't make it inside the stadium, and they can have a good time because it's just they start the grills at 6 a.m., they get out there, they talk to their friends. Maybe they live in Pensacola and other people live in Orlando, and every Saturday for those 6-7 home games, they meet in Gainesville to talk to those buddies. When it comes down to this game, I've been going to games ever since I was old enough with my dad at this, and it's been a great venue. We used to drive up from Orlando as UCF students when we were not winning any big games or getting left out of playoffs. And I look at this and say, you know what? I like the event, but are you for or against the whole neutral site, even though many would say that this is more in favor of Florida based on the location? I like the venue. I think it's unique and one of those that many of the fans, I think, enjoy too. But what do you think of the neutral site games in general and this one when you talk about the matchup between Florida and Georgia in Jacksonville?
Okay, in general, it's a disadvantage to have a neutral site Gosh, when I was out at Arkansas, in fact, I told Coach Broyles, this is ridiculous playing all these games in Little Rock. We couldn't have, you can't have the number of recruits on the sideline or in town to have dinner with them and all that type of thing. It's a big disadvantage. But in the case of Jacksonville with Georgia, Florida, it's a little different because it is tradition. And let me tell you, Georgia wants that game. They'd like to, in a way, they'd like to have a game in Athens and a game in Gainesville and go back and forth.
But if they could poach some of those guys.
But every year, see, that would only be every other year, really getting that foothold in Florida. By virtue of the fact that they play a game in Jacksonville, in the state of Florida, every year, they can put some type claim on Florida recruits, and they use it. They use it to their advantage. You'd be surprised how many kids from that northeast Florida area have gone to Georgia because they have that game in Jacksonville.
Well, all the way across, Duval, Baker County, Leon County, all of those. If you go Alachua, I mean, all of that area right there, if you talk about that, you're right. It might favor a little more geographically where Florida is, but if Georgia, they have been winning those games lately, if Georgia goes out and wins that, all of those 4 and 5 stars, the potential, they're able to come in there and impose their will, and those guys leaving saying, hey, you know what, Georgia's looking pretty nice. So not that bad. It's not a bad trade-off at all when you talk about it.
Again, you got to go back to the tradition as well.
Mm-hmm.
The tradition is something quite significant there.
Do you think in this game, at the beginning of the season, and I know you get to talk to Danny Sheridan, one of the guys that helps really move the lines and make the lines out in Vegas, USA Today. You can hear him on Paul Feinbaum, but I know he joined you throughout the year on Talk Football. Danny, has made it clear at the beginning of the season where lines are, and then today. I was looking at the line at the beginning of the year. Georgia would have been a 14 to 15-point favorite over Florida, which I think a lot of people, after watching that Miami game, would have said would be fair. Mm-hmm. Then, all of a sudden, lo and behold, after now, the game is not this week. It will be next week. But people are talking about a 4 to 5 point spread in favor of Georgia. And that might even be too high the way they're playing lately. I mean, even if you made this game a pick, I think people in Vegas would have a hard time picking Georgia the way the confidence is building with Florida. I think this is a toss-up where you haven't been able to say that in a while. The way Florida has played and the way Georgia hasn't looked good in the big games, and even last week against Kentucky, when they're trying to prove to everybody, okay, you know what? The South Carolina game was a mess-up. We're good. We're at home against a bad offense in Kentucky, and the score is 0-0 in the first half. I think right now Florida's gaining the confidence to be able to compete in this battle.
Well, I would agree with you. The only thing I think you have to consider in the total equation here is that the weather in Georgia last week was atrocious.
It was awful.
I mean, they played in an absolute
looked like a slip and slide for kids out there.
Yeah, it was just it was like a little hurricane. But there was not going to be much offensive proficiency in that type weather. You just have to hang on and hope you win it.
Do you feel right now the way Florida has gone out there and played, if you look at it right now, they're 7-1, number 7 in the nation. They get the bye week, which is huge, and a couple of the guys up front. Remember, they won that game with 2 pass rushers, with Zuniga and the guys up front in Grenard. Both of them were hurt, and that's huge because, to me, the staple of Florida is now consistency. I mean, he's not elite, he's not a Heisman, but consistency at the quarterback position. A lot of playmakers on the outside, not elite of the elite receivers. They don't have the Alabama receiving staff, but I was talking to Brent Baird, who's covered with Lindy Sports and with college sports over in for a long time, and Brent and I were talking yesterday, and they've got 6 or 7 options. Look, Jacob Copeland's not a starting receiver, and he was the SEC Freshman of the Week. They've got guys like Hammond. They've got guys like Jefferson, a lot of different options, and then you have a great pass rush. And that's one thing last week they did not have. They will need that. They will need them back healthy. And it's good that they have a bye week because as much as we're talking Tua and Alabama getting healthy, Florida needs that pass rush to be able to get pressure on Jake Fromm.
Oh, you bet. And they absolutely do. And they have an advantage there, too, because keep in mind, Georgia lost their entire receiving core this past year. So they're hurting there, and makes the rush that much more viable and that much more important.
Coach, at the beginning of the season, how times can change real quickly in about 8 or 9 weeks. At the beginning of the year, Jake Fromm was only behind Tua and Trevor Lawrence for the early beginning of the year Heisman. And even after week 2, he was still right there at number 3, tied with Justin Herbert in the way he moved up in Oregon. Looking at a guy like Joe Burrow, he was sitting at 19. He wasn't even on the map. 200-1 odds. I mean, the way LSU is a rush first team all those years, nobody even thought of him. Well, now Joe Burrow has the number 1 ranking based on Tua's injury, and Jake Fromm is now dropped outside of the top 8. Now, you look right now, even with all that being said, do you still feel that Jake Fromm has the chance to be the type of quarterback in the NFL to have a long career?
I do. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he'll be drafted high. I don't know if he'll be drafted in the first round, but he'll be drafted high. Certainly somewhere in the second round, I think third at the most. But could be first round draft choice. Yeah, he's got that certain something about him that just gives coaches the confidence in putting him in the ballgame. He's a leader. He's a natural leader. And I like him. I like the way he plays, and he's a go-getter. But I certainly feel like knows the kid at LSU is just looking,
Joe Burrow, yeah.
Joe Burrow is looking outstanding. And don't forget about this kid at Oregon, Herbert, because I still hear, that he checks all the boxes right now. I think the only box that he doesn't have as high a score in as maybe Tua and Burrow would be the combative, competitive spirit that they have right now.
Coach, I want to ask you this question because you played at the highest level, quarterback in the NFL. You've coached some of the best. You've been around the game for a long time, and you know the position about as good as anyone. When you look right now at Joe Brady and what he's done with Joe Burrow, the mechanics, the technique, you hear about quarterback gurus working in the offseason with guys on fundamentals. And, I know that more than anyone. When I was a pitcher in baseball, I was overhand, and I used to throw normal and was getting rocked for a while in some of my travel ball in AAU. And once in a while, I'd go to a sidearm pitch in submarine, and people go, "He's got something there." Breaking balls, couldn't hit it. And he said, "Why don't you keep that up?" A year later, I was getting an opportunity in college to get an opportunity to play at UCF and going forward. But if someone would have said, "You know what, this is unorthodox, but that's the way you should play," like someone probably said with Kenny the Snake Stabler or Fran Tarkenton and the way he scrambled, or the way you look at Rich Gannon from the side. Some of these guys, somebody had to come around and say, or Sonny Jorgensen with his wobblers, somebody probably said, "You know what, it's okay. This is the style he plays, and we got to go with it." When you look at Joe Burrow, he was a good quarterback. Urban Meyer talked high praise. He had to transfer. Dwayne Haskins was setting records. Haskins out there at Ohio State. Burrow wanted to play, goes to LSU. But I watched him in last year's game. I watched him throw the pick against Florida as Florida took it back to the house to win in the Swamp. He's not only a better quarterback, he's a more confident quarterback. He's a complete package. But how important is it when you have an opportunity to work with one of those masterminds of a guy like Brady, who is brought in just to work with a guy and make a guy like Joe Burrow better?
I think it's very obvious when you look at what he's doing right now. And Brady has done an outstanding job, not just working with him, but implementing and designing a passing game that's unstoppable right now. And he's doing all the little things. I noticed in the Florida game, pre-snap look and the quick pop for the touchdown. All of it's done on a pre-snap look, and bang, it's there. But he's doing the things that good quarterbacks do, that pro quarterbacks do, that you don't usually see in college. And he's doing them. So I would have to think right now, my belief, I love Tua. I think Tua's got what I call the third eye. He can see things coming. But I think if I had to take right now, if they said you got to take somebody coming out of college, it would be tight between Burrow and Tua.
I think it would, and right now with the injury, Joe Burrow's jumped to number 1 in the polls and gave everybody a sight to see against Mississippi State, and with some of those pictures of the defensive guy pulling him down, maybe too much of a sight to see in that game against the Bulldogs right there, if you know what I mean. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more Florida Gator football right here on Go Gators. 38-27 win. Gators come back from after trailing by 3 going into the fourth quarter, reel off 21 straight points. Trevon Grimes getting into the end zone from Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, Freddie Swain, Jacob Copeland. 4 touchdowns, and then Dameon Pierce with that big 75-yard touchdown run. It was a complete effort all the way around. Even Evan McPherson, before it started to rain, with a 48-yard field goal to get the first points on the board. Gators move to 7-1, number 7 in the country, and will get a bye week before they get set to go against Georgia in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. And yes, I'm still calling it that. We're coming back for more. It's Go Gators right here on ESPN Pensacola.
I thought I was too old.
I thought I was too young.
I didn't think I had what it takes.
How'd I find the time?
I went into a music store and tried some percussion. Keyboard,
guitar,
bass,
ukulele.
And before I knew it,
I could actually play a song.
why make excuses when you can make music? Just play. This message brought to you by the NAM Foundation.
This is a message for all parents. If you as an adult think it's tough being separated or divorced, have you truly stopped to consider how your being separated or divorced affects your children? How parents treat one another, either during or after divorce, can have lifelong effects on your children. Whether you are separated from your spouse or even actually divorced, in either situation, keep in mind that you and your spouse are parents forever. Hello, my name is Stephen T. Holman, and I am a family law attorney. If you have questions regarding custody, visitation, or child support, call me today for a free consultation at 435-6909. That's 435-6909.
Lowe's helps pros like you save every day on what you need to get the job done right. Put the power of a Bosch Bulldog Core 18-volt cordless rotary hammer in your hands for $199 and get a free Bosch dust collector kit or a free Bosch Core 18-volt 8-amp-hour battery. It features legendary Bulldog performance, providing the power of corded and the convenience of cordless. Have trim work to do? Save up to 40% every day when you purchase Pro Packs of molding compared to single sticks. Whatever you need to get the job done, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Bosch offer valid through 10/27, U.S. only.
Sports Call with Davis and Justin.
Speaking of embarrassment, Michigan should be embarrassed. You can't really buy into them right now.
Top sports stories, the biggest games.
And you can make Aaron Rodgers force a mistake more. Tom Brady, it's hard to make him force a mistake in those situations.
The weekends are made for sports, so catch Sports Call with Davis and Justin every Saturday from 11 to 1 on Pensacola's home for sports. ESPN Pensacola, 1330, FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. Final countdown coming back right there. That was a classic little marching band rendition. Welcome back to Go Gators right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante sitting in here as we do each and every Tuesday, brought to you by the Holman Law Firm. Stephen, Justin, they do such a great job of taking care of you. When you're going through a tough divorce or anything, remember, the best parents are both parents, father's rights, and having an opportunity to work with the family and get the best representation. You can check them out today, the Holman Law Firm, and check things out as 438-6909. They will take care of you and make sure to always be there for you in any situation needed as the proud sponsors of the Florida Gators and Go Gators. Well, the Gators get a bye week. It couldn't come at a better time after the win right there against South Carolina. They get ready for a huge game. Now, if you look at their schedule, breaking down a little, 29-21 win against Kentucky. This is sort of the path that has been set for Kyle Trask. After that victory, 31-point win over Tennessee, 34-3 in a dominant fashion. That doesn't mean as much. It means something to them winning that rivalry game. But from an outside perspective, beating Tennessee these days, heck, for that matter, this is not a joke, or it's not even that funny for their fan base, because Tennessee's got a lot of good fans in this area that deserve better. When you have great fans And they're passionate, they're loyal, whether you think they might be mean SOBs or whatever you might think. They are some passionate people in Tennessee, in Rocky Top. And they deserve better than what they're getting, especially when Jarrett Guarantano and the team is taking a knee to lose. Now, it happens. Last night, the Jets and Pats, when it's 33-0, you can't be yelling at your team if they're punting or they're taking running the ball 3 times around the clock. Game's over. Mathematically, you're not going to be able to score 5 touchdowns within a minute 30. So just don't freak out. Personally, I'm the type of coach that would be playing until the last minute, trying to at least get some points on the board, but you're not going to win the game. You don't have to run it like a 2-minute drill. The difference for the team in Tennessee, though, is, that 14-point swing, they had a chance. They're about to go in, the fumble, 100 yards back to the house, and the next thing you know, what could have been a 1-score game has become a 3-score game, and at that point, it was over. Curtains from there as Alabama was going to roll, even without Tua. But at the end of the game, they were in knee-down formation, taking a kneel in a loss. I maybe seen that once or twice, but, at least run a ball up the middle or have a QB sneak or something. Taking a knee in a loss, it happens, but very rare, and that's where the program has been. So winning the game 34-3, not as important really to the fans as much as you get the rival win, but it's not a signature win. Then against Auburn, the Florida Gators get up, and that's a game. It was going to be 100 degrees in the swamp. Everybody was going to be excited, and they got up and they performed about as good defensively as you could. They got guys like Jabari Zuniga. They got guys like C.J. Henderson back, and it showed going out there and winning that game. A hard-fought battle down the sidelines. LaMichael Pirine with the big run, ending it right there, solidifying the win 24-13. And they don't have any time to rest. They get right back and face another Tiger. This one heading out as College Game Day left Gainesville and headed out to Baton Rouge. Chance of rain? Never. It was a night game in Death Valley, about as tough as it gets. And the Florida Gators went back and forth. The final score was a little misleading, and that's why you got to watch the games. A lot of people go to bed early. They don't watch those Pac-12 football games. But guess what? I think when Oregon played Auburn, you realize it's a pretty good football team. When Washington is battled out against teams. Pretty good football team. There are some good teams in bad conferences. And for a team like LSU, if you watch that until the final minute, because the game ended right around 11 o'clock Central Time. But if you watch that game, the Gators had a 28-21 lead. They were moving the football. And they weren't moving the football on 2 plays, 70 yards, maybe got lucky. One of the guys in the secondary slipped in purple and gold, and they went to the house. You can have plays like that happen, and they're just unfortunate, and it can cost you a win, but people will look back and go, man, you outplayed them. You just got unlucky on this day. Florida had 11-play, 75-yard drives, 12-play, 80-yard drives, eating up 7 to 8 minutes. Heck, they had the football, and I talked with Coach K about it yesterday. He brought up this stat that they had the ball for 16 more minutes than LSU during that game. And LSU likes to score quickly now with Joe Burrow because they can. A couple passes later, they're in the end zone. And Florida's not the only one because Florida's got a good defense. But Florida is not the only one that is not going to be able to stop LSU. I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop that offense. It's whether or not you can outscore them. And for Alabama, it's getting Tua back to see if they can outscore him. It's going to be intriguing to see this week when Auburn plays LSU. But I think LSU just a better team, and a reason they're a 12-point favorite. But even in the 42-28 loss, Florida proved to many people that they can hang, that this wasn't a total beatdown. And the score, even though at the end of the day, even lost people money because the Gators were a 13.5-point underdog and they end up losing by 14, it didn't really represent what the game was. Until the final quarter, it was all tied 28-28. And then a few plays late into the game, and it was the difference. But Florida then goes out there, and a game where this was the epitome of games over the last decade, and if you're a Gator fan out there listening right now, you know this way better than I do. But this was the epitome of games that Florida would not show up for. Since the days of Will Muschamp, and even before that, after that with Jim McElwain. So it was the years of, Randy Shannon taking over when they were clapping for games against Missouri, losing 38-9 because the guy made a field goal. I mean, it got pretty bad. And the difference was these were the games that you had South Carolina coming off an emotional win, a rivalry matchup, the ties with the old ball coach right there throughout the years. And South Carolina looked like they started the game that was going to go down that path. But Florida fought back, even trailing by 3 in the fourth quarter, and came back to get not 1, not 2, but 3 straight touchdowns. And it's because they have a true leader on the field. I think Dan Mullen's the right leader as a head coach. But there are things in football and things in sports that go beyond teaching, go beyond the combine in the NFL. Because for that matter, Darius Hayward-Bay, that guy, right, was the best receiver. According to everybody out there. 4.43 speed, man. Look at that. 4.29 in the way he, yeah. But have you watched him in the big moment make a big play in clutch? Give me the guy that's now getting PT out there for the Oakland Raiders and a guy like Hunter Renfrow that made every single catch at 5'8", 160-pound white guy out there like a slot receiver for Peyton Manning or Brady. And he goes out there and he's making plays now from Clemson. Because anytime the ball was thrown his way, guess what? He caught the football. That's his job. You can't teach the clutch performance. And even with Florida State, I'm not saying James Blackman's a bad quarterback, but Alex Hornibrook should be the starter. And every time Florida State would get in a close game, Alex Hornibrook would find a way to pull away and win. And he's only got 2 to show for. Nobody was going to walk into Clemson and win that game, but Blackman comes back. He gets the starting on, even against Wake Forest. They got a shot at the end of the game with the football, and they fumbled twice. They were recovering it, but they fumbled twice between him and Cam. There's those little things that you can't measure in those clutch moments that make great quarterbacks or make elite players go the extra mile. John Elway helicoptering into the end zone. Brett Favre making a throw between 2 defenders like it's something out of the Matrix, finding a perfect pass to win a ball game. Steve Young getting his 8,000th concussion to pick up 4 yards and a first down to keep a drive alive. The little things that players are able to do and fight through that aren't going to show up in the record books or the stat books is what makes the good players a little extra. And for Kyle Trask, he doesn't have all the tools. Felipe Franks in practice and going through drills with a laser rocket arm or the way he can complete a pass or how the size, the speed, the arm strength, he beats Kyle Trask in a lot of those categories. But Trask makes those kind of plays that aren't measured. Makes the kind of plays like in a game where all of this could have turned south. Heck, for that matter, Kyle Trask being the starter going forward. The way the media would have talked about it when they took on Kentucky. And I'm sitting there watching the game with the Northwest Florida Gator Club. We're out there with guys like the sponsor of the show, Stephen T. Holman and his family. And then folks out there, Alan Nicholson and Jeff Davis and all these people, Shane Rowe, great Florida fans everywhere I looked. And I'm watching that game at Seville, and I remember looking up, and that play where Trask on 4th down is about to get hit. And he pitches the ball back to P. Ryan on a ball while he's falling on the ground. A complete improv play that wasn't designed but to keep the game alive, literally. And makes that play. P. Ryan gets in the end zone and gives them an opportunity. Then finds a way to sneak the ball into the end zone for a QB sneak on another red zone to seal the game before Kentucky missed that kick, and they end up winning. But those plays, that was the first sign. And then it only got better. And even in a lost LSU, Trask didn't lose the game. They were just outscored. South Carolina, 4 touchdowns, big touchdowns, and 3 at the biggest time of the game. When your team needed you the most. 3 straight touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. He gets better with age, like a fine scotch, or that aged piece of, USDA top sirloin right there, or top filet, or whatever the best. Clearly, I'd rather have a filet than a sirloin. Give me the T-bone. Give me it all. And that's what Trask wanted. He wanted it all and got it done. Will Muschamp, you could say what you want. There might have been some pick plays, and I don't think the referees were the best, but that happens. For every moment like that, there's another moment where you could say your team got screwed. And, South Carolina didn't get all the calls their way. It's going to be a little rowdy. You're going to get water bottles thrown on the field when you hear it more at home. But the Gators going out there, and they get that win, and a huge win, because those are the games that after a tough loss, the next week having to go to another hostile environment against a team that's riding that high, as the Gamecocks, they walked right in between the hedges, and the Cocks pulled out a victory. They were able to win that game, and everybody is talking about that. The emotion, the level, even the spread. And the next thing you know, Florida goes in and wins again. So the Gators, 38-27 win. It's the bye week before Georgia, then hosting Vanderbilt at Missouri, and then against Florida State. And the difference at this point, I don't see any worse than 9-3, and it could be as good as 11-1, and a chance to go. And at this point, even though there is so you're saying there's a chance, it's really small, but there is the chance that the Florida Gators, if they beat Missouri and they beat Georgia and Vandy and Florida State, which they should at home, that they'd be 11-1, taking on an LSU, an Alabama, outside shot of an Auburn in that conference championship, and the winner of that game will go to the college football playoff. Very few teams out there still in college football today have a path that they can actually go to the national title and a path that they control the opportunities to go to a national title. Some of them have a shot, like Oregon, but they're out of everybody's control. If everybody else wins around them, they're not getting in. You got Ohio State's, Oklahoma's. You got teams all around you that are on the right path. For Oklahoma, they're on the right path. Their Sooner Schooner is not. Whoop! That was funny because everybody was okay. Still funny regardless. I'm telling you, for Florida, I don't think they're there, but we've seen crazier things happen. And Trask is getting better every single game. And as a Gator fan, you got to be pretty excited. 7-1, number 7 in the nation. Bye week this week, coming at a great time. SEC Offensive Freshman of the Week, Jacob Copeland from Pensacola, getting it done in a big way. When we come back, we'll talk a little more Florida Gator football with some of the biggest moments, the best wins over the last decade for the Florida Gators. And we've got that for you when we return right here on Go Gators, brought to you by the Holman Law Firm. Father's Rights, because the best parents are both parents.
It's happening. Wherever plays are being made, tickets are being sold, and fans are lining up. ADP is designing a better way to work. With industry-leading HR, talent, time, benefits, and payroll, more companies rely on ADP than any other HR partner to help step up their game. From small business to global enterprise. See how ADP can help you and your people achieve what you're working for at design.adp.com. ADP, always designing for people.
From the all-time leading running back Emmitt Smith to Hall of Fame linebackers like Derek Brooks, Pensacola is full of NFL legends. Well, how about joining some of the NFL legends every Sunday down at World of Beer, 200 South Palafox, for your ESPN Pensacola NFL tailgate party. It all gets kicked off at 10 o'clock. Stay around for the best games, prizes, and more at your favorite destination. It's the NFL Tailgate Show on ESPN Pensacola 1330 FM 99.1.
This is a message for all parents. If you as an adult think it's tough being separated or divorced, have you truly stopped to consider how your being separated or divorced affects your children? How parents treat one another, either during or after divorce, can have lifelong effects on your children. Whether you are separated from your spouse or even actually divorced, in either situation, keep in mind that you and your spouse are parents forever. Hello, my name is Stephen T. Holman, and I am a family law attorney. If you have questions regarding custody, visitation, or child support, call me today for a free consultation at 435-6909. That's 435-6909.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back. Sports Drive right here on ESPN. Well, it's not Sports Drive. It's Go Gators right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brilliante with you here, having some fun as we are talking some Florida Gator football, getting set to go for their bye week before the world's largest outdoor cocktail party right around the corner, November 2nd, right there in Jacksonville, right around the Halloween Never seen more partying. Never actually seen a guy either fall off a second story and land onto the ground. He sort of hit a bush first, and then he fell to the ground and got up okay. He was wearing like a half monkey suit. I guess he had taken off his gorilla mask because he was actually trying to grab a cold one. They still got like the 40-ouncers out there, having the big ones, the big tall boys, with long bathroom breaks as well set up around the place. But they give the, they know everybody's out there to have a good time. You mix Halloween with good weather for a tailgate that starts usually on Friday night, and they've got bands out there at the landing. It is a blast. I'll tell you, I've been to a couple of huge parties in Vegas, some VIP parties out there after Usher concerts and things like that. Lived out in Boston, a lot of different places. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party is one of the best parties. You don't even have to make it inside the stadium, and it is a blast. But never forget that guy in that gorilla suit falling. We all thought it might have been one of those moments where we're witnessing a guy in his final moments, and then he just got up. Probably felt it in the morning, I'm sure, once the BAC went back to normal. But that moment right there is one, as a fan, I literally will never forget. As a gorilla suit man fell from the second floor at the landing. Everybody was okay. Looking at the Go Gators show coming up here, we're going to talk some more on what's going on next week about the game against Georgia. We'll get into all the big games with the bye week this week. Probably a good week for people to spend some time with the family, watch the other games. Obviously, LSU and Auburn, a big matchup right there, and then getting set to go against Georgia. But so many great moments throughout the history of Florida Gator football, and one of them that we've talked about before is winning in the big moment, the pivotal matchups. And for the Florida Gators, there's been many. Let's take a look now at some of the biggest wins over the last 10 years. All the biggest wins for the Florida Gators in the final minute.
It is good. Florida wins.
The walk-on McGloin throws. Intercepted! Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out a winner.
Driscoll out of the gun. Keeps it himself. Big game. Breaks loose. Driscoll. Touchdown. 70 yards.
Try a field goal.
Bear blocked. Picked up by the Gators at the 35. Jenkins. Touchdown.
Florida can start to ice this thing. And Jones might ice it right here. Ball game. Touchdown.
Florida survives.
On this down, this game, the Gators are 4 for 4 on fourth downs. Snap to Greer. Greer looking, throws the ball, got a receiver. There's a catch made on the near sideline. Down the right side, 35-30. It'll be Callaway down the sideline. He's going to score! He's going to score! He's going to score! It's a touchdown! Oh my! Antonio Callaway, 63-yard touchdown, and the ball game is tied!
I just saw magic. Wow!
Taylor. Touchdown Gators.
So now here we are, 9 seconds left. Gators first down, 37-yard line, left hash. Snap to Franks. Franks dropping back, stepping up, running the ball, looking. He's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone. It's a touchdown, and the Gators have won the game. Tyreek Cleveland. Oh my! I can't believe what I just saw. The Gators have won the ball game on a bomb thrown by Felipe Franks, and this place is an insane asylum again.
3rd and 1. Kentucky trying to run a man off, wide open, touchdown Florida. Freddie Swain was left all alone, and for the second time tonight, Kentucky gets caught napping.
You got all 11 within 3 yards of the ball. Now here's a handoff, giving off to Davis. He's into the secondary. There goes Davis. He's going to run to score.
blitz. It's intercepted by Florida. Brad Stewart. Touchdown. Long, too. So I would say that kicking it is the correct decision to make it a two-score game.
You got a true freshman kicker. 43-yard attempt by McPherson. It hooks in. It's good. And Florida leads by 10 with 37 seconds to go.
A change in season means it's time to check your tires, and Goodyear Auto Service has just what you need to make this fall great. Think weekend getaways, scenic drives, and great deals, like up to $225 in savings this month. That's $75 in instant savings when you purchase and install a set of 4 new Goodyear or Dunlop tires, plus up to $150 back on select tires by online or mail-in rebate when you use your Goodyear credit card. But hurry, this offer ends October 31st. Terms and conditions apply. Visit GoodyearAutoservice.com to learn more.
Only in the forest can you see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
ESPN Pensacola is your home for UWF Argos football. Catch every game, home or away, on Pensacola's home for local sports. This week, get ready as UWF travels to Melbourne to take on Florida Tech. Pregame starts at 11:30, kickoff at noon. Hear all the play-by-play action right here on your home for Argos football, ESPN Pensacola 1330, FM 99.1. UWF football is presented in part by Summer Vista Assisted Living. Only a 30-minute show this Saturday as UWF is taking on Florida Tech in the Coastal Classic. Will Kennedy will take over at 11:30. And the World Series. It's on Sports Call this Saturday at 11 a.m. on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1. Pensacola's home to the best talk in sports, new and improved. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 and FM 99.1.
You're listening to Pensacola's local and ESPN sports station. Your favorite ESPN radio shows, plus high school and UWF Argo football. ESPN Pensacola 1330.
And welcome back, Go Gators, right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Chad Brillante with you here as we are just about set. Got about 8 minutes to go of the show before we will send it out to the mouth of the South. Paul Feinbaum, who will break down more. Earlier today, Coach K sat down with Alex Scarborough of an opportunity to talk a little Alabama football and the Tua injury with ESPN.com's Alabama Crimson Tide reporter, and a guy that at this point they're just going to wait and see. At this point, that's all they can do. It's a high ankle. Look, and the thing is, too, these aren't robots, or these aren't like vacuum cleaners that you get out of the attic, or you get out of your I don't think you're going to the attic to get your vacuum cleaner, then you need to do more cleaning. But, you know, if you're getting it out of right there, out of the cupboard, or you're getting it out of the closet, that's where it was. Yeah, the cupboard. Let's just start that over. If you're getting the vacuum out of the closet, it was that easy right there, and really not that big of a deal to even say. As, you'd think that you know exactly every week or whatever you need to break that out when you need to use it. But unless somebody comes in and steals it, it's going to be in that same spot. For a quarterback, Tua's still going to be walking around as a human. You don't even know. Getting off the bus, it gets cold outside, and he slips. It's been raining in Tuscaloosa, and he makes it hurts a little more. Things can happen. So over the next 2.5, 3 weeks, a lot can happen. Heck, this week alone in football, nobody thought we were going to be talking about Zion Williamson being out 8 weeks with an injury. I mean, the future of the NBA, and now he's out for 8 weeks. Now you have a situation where you've got a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Well, I like to throw it to Tyreek Hill and over the middle, and I know I sound a little like Kermit the Frog when I talk here, and but I like ketchup. I mean, ketchup's good on everything. If you put it on macaroni and cheese, I mean, it's really good. And Patrick Mahomes is the guy that now is out, and Kansas City Chiefs fans are waiting for him to run back. Thank God there wasn't a fracture to his to his knee, and should be back. But then you got other guys out there, like what we've talked about with Tua. And we were expecting 2.5, 3 weeks. Remember, he went through this same exact process last year, having tightrope surgery and being down here at Andrews, talking to Jimmy Andrews, and the opportunity to work here with the fine folks at, not only in Gulf Breeze, but remember, they've got their offices in Birmingham. So when you hear about Andrews, it's not just here. He's probably going to go down the road. It would be suitable and make more sense financially in every regard to take like a cab or drive your car down the road than it would be to fly down to go to the same venue. But in Birmingham, they're up there treating him with the Andrews Institute, and they're working with him, and he should be back. Look, it took 4 weeks before, but they had 4 weeks during the time frame between the game against Clemson, between the game against Oklahoma, and that SEC title game when they played against Georgia. So they'll rush him back. They'll get him back there, and he should be ready to go. For the Florida Gators, a bye week this week. They're 7-1, ranked number 7 in the nation. This is the highest they've been ranked in a very long time, and in an opportunity, even after the loss, to be able to prove themselves and to be right there in the mix with a team like LSU. Even in a loss, you can gain the respect. Notre Dame got the respect after a loss to Georgia, and we saw the same thing with when LSU played against Florida. This is a game that's going to be an exciting matchup coming up here when they take on Georgia. A Georgia team that is not the same football team. And I think we need to realize that. They're a good football team, still probably a top 10, maybe even top 6 or 7. But they're beatable. This is a team that they're not in that class. At one point at the beginning of the season, we always want to do this, and then in football, we find out real quickly that we're wrong. But we always want to deem the 3 teams and then everybody else. And it was Clemson, it was Alabama, and Georgia. And then everybody else. It doesn't matter if you lost 4 guys on the defensive line if you're Clemson the NFL draft in the first 2 rounds. It doesn't matter if Georgia lost 4 guys, the top 4 receivers, including the tight end Nada for Jake Fromm. They're going to be fine. Doesn't matter if Alabama had injuries to their Butkus Award winner like Dylan Moses. Yeah, all that matters. All that matters. And you're seeing right now that it matters. To me, Alabama is the best team in the nation, but Ohio State can be argued. Oklahoma can be in the argument. You could see teams the way that LSU obviously is playing. They deserve to be in the argument. Clemson's still there. They're not going anywhere. Don't judge the Clemson-North Carolina game as the game going forward because, remember, Clemson does this every year, and they seem to be okay. There's always the Clemson slip-up game. But for the Florida Gators, they now have become one of those teams in the conversation. When they won games early in the season, it was just somebody had to win those games. Miami, Kentucky, matchups that nobody else was giving them credit for, that now the country is seeing that this team can be the real deal. And Dan Mullen, what a great job. Will Muschamp gave him high praises. Everybody has given him high praises. Today they came out with a list of the top paid coaches. Dan Mullen checking in at number 7 on the list. Well-deserved, though. You know, he's behind guys like Jimbo Fisher, behind guys like Jim Harbaugh. And I think right now, if you ask Florida fans who they would like, you'd probably hear his name before both those guys. The decision that was made when it was the Chip Kelly sweepstakes, and we were Kelly Watch, Chips Ahoy, flying across the nation, landing in Gainesville. And every 5 minutes we were trying to figure out where he was going to be. Now Chip Kelly's got his arms crossed out there with his beer gutting out in UCLA, losing games and getting beat now. I think they have 1 or 2 wins on the season. And he'll retire if he is. He's right there by the Brentwood Estates. Stay away from OJ. And he can, go hang out and enjoy golf and do what he needs to do in Hollywood. He'll be fine. But for the fans out there for Florida, they got the right coach, and he's a Gator. He lives and breathes it. He gets into the stands afterwards. He celebrates. He enjoys it. He embraces the Gator culture. Because growing up in a lot of cities where there is a college within a city, or there's a city within a college, And for the city of Gainesville, it is a city within a college. Everybody around there, from the small towns in Alachua County, Micanopy, all those little places all around there. Perry, Florida. It's a little bit further down. Lake City. Anywhere, though, those are Florida Gator fans. There's no second choices. Now, Perry, you're getting a little closer. You can get Tallahassee there, but in Florida State. But if you look right now, anywhere in that Gainesville area, those are Florida Gator fans. And that's what they are. And they're not going to change anytime soon. That's all the time we have for Go Gators. Thanks for tuning in as the Gators have a bye week. 7-1, number 7 in the nation, before they get set for the big matchup against the Georgia Bulldogs November 2nd. If you're going to the party, be safe, have fun, as we always do. For the Holman Law Firm, proud sponsors of Go Gators, I'm Chad Brilliante. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy Paul Feinbaum, and God bless.
Football season has arrived, and ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM 99.1 FM is where the action is. Bringing your high school football every Friday night, UWF football on Saturdays, and the NFL on Sundays. If you would like to partner with ESPN Pensacola as a sponsor or promotional partner, give us a call at 262-6000.